The Canadian Medical Association says the proposed changes to the capital gains taxation will affect doctors' retirement savings, and in turn, it could affect recruitment and retention of physicians. Are you willing to make changes or exceptions for doctors?
Welcome back to Northern Perspective, everyone. I'm Cypher.
And I'm Fox. The PR campaign for Trudeau's budget spirals out of control as doctors threaten to quit, and Justin openly admits that his government is beginning to tilt towards communism.
Let's take a look. So we open with a Globe and Mail article titled, "Changes to Capital Gains Tax May Prompt Doctors to Quit, CMA Warns." The head of the Canadian Medical Association says the federal government's proposed increases to capital gains taxes will pose a significant financial hit to doctors and may push some out of the profession. The recent federal budget includes an increase to the capital gains inclusion rate up to 2/3 from 1/2, which means that more of the income generated from the sale of an asset, such as a property or a stock, is taxed. The first $250,000 of capital gains will continue to be taxed under an inclusion rate of 50% for individuals. But for corporations, the new 67% rate will kick in on the first dollar of capital gains. This is important for physicians because most operate their practices as small businesses through medical professional corporations, which leaves them more sensitive to changes in capital gains rules than a salaried worker might be. The CMA estimated in 2017 that 66% of physicians practice through corporations. Kathleen Ross, the president of CMA and a BC family physician, said physicians across Canada are feeling strained by high patient counts, rising expenses, and limited government funding. Now, Kathleen Ross was recently on CTV News with Vasri Kapelos, and she answered some questions, and the answers should concern us all.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you're hearing from those physicians? I'm imagining particularly toward the end of their career versus the beginning, where they can make different investment decisions based on the new rules. There, if you have saved for your retirement in that way and you're nearing retirement, my guess is their options are fairly limited.
The options are fairly limited to try and recoup what we would be losing in these capital gains losses. But I've spoken to a number of physicians today. I'm at a conference on quality improvement where physicians largely off the side of their desk are working hard to innovate and streamline and improve Canadian healthcare. And then being faced with this on top of our already morally defeated and beleaguered physician workforce coming out of the pandemic. This is really, it feels a little bit like a beatdown, I guess. We're really quite upset about this process. If you were to bring in a new physician to practice that wasn't incorporated or that was choosing to incorporate to run their business, there's going to be different implications, of course. But those that are mid-career or later in career that have actually followed the instructions to invest and save inside of your corporation, this has got a significant impact. And I've been speaking to physicians all day saying, well, there's really not much incentive for me to continue to work in the way that I'm working. Maybe I'm going to close down my corporation. Maybe I'm going to close down my medical practice altogether and go and do something else. And I've been shocked to hear that by so many of my colleagues, that there are lots of options. Physicians are well-educated, intelligent people, and we can go and do something else.
So in a country where, 30% of Canadians don't have a doctor?
Yeah, I think the stat I read today said 6.1 million. So that's what? About 20%?
So in a country with a doctor shortage and the government's budget seems to be encouraging physicians to say, you know what, what's the point? I'm out. So the issue with this is that when physicians start up a practice, they choose to incorporate. Now, you don't have to incorporate really to run a business, but a while ago, like years and years ago, the government kind of gave the guidance to physicians that you should probably incorporate, and that will allow you to save simultaneously for your retirement. They also pay for the building, they pay for equipment, they pay for staff salaries. So, doctors don't just get to keep all the money, right? doctors go to school for, over a decade in some cases, and they spend a lot of money getting their education. So, we like our doctors and we want them to stay around, and there's already been a brain drain for decades in Canada because of the competitiveness of wages. I can't imagine the damage that this may do.
Well, being a physician, it's a very specialized
Profession.
Thank you. It's extremely specialized. And if you're a specialist in that field, you're even more specialized. So, of course, they're going to get paid more than, somebody like me who worked at the animal shelter before I started doing Northern Perspective. Or, well, I should say before I became a mother. So long before I started doing Northern Perspective. But the point is, there's dozens and dozens and dozens of people who want to work at the shelter because, cute puppies, I get to play with them, whatever. And the skill set is not as extreme as it is to be a physician. So of course you would get paid lots and lots and lots of money to be a doctor. Now what these doctors are doing is they're incorporating. That means they're creating a business for their practice, and that serves some special purposes. Number one, it helps prevent against getting sued. So if you are sued as a corporation, they can't sue the owner, they can't sue the individual workers in the corporation. It's the corporation itself that gets sued. The other thing that it does is it allows the physician to keep the money inside the corporation. So it is the business's money, and then they can take out a salary. But anything that's left over just kind of sits in that business and it belongs to the business. And that's that nest egg that the doctors are building for retirement. They were instructed not to pay into CPP, or they weren't permitted to pay into CPP. I'm not quite sure exactly what the detail is regarding that. But back in, I believe it was the 70s, they were told open up a corporation instead, and that will be your retirement. So the money will just sit in this corporation, and then when it's retirement time, you could take a little bit out each year. No problem. But what the problem is now is that money sitting in that corporation is going to be taxed at a much, much higher rate. So there goes the doctor's retirement fund.
Well, and this is the dishonest thing, right? Trudeau saying, well, we're just asking people to pay just a little bit more. A little bit more? That's a lot. 17% more? That's a lot, man. Now, video doesn't end here because Trudeau was at a event today and he was asked about this. So let's see what he said.
First question goes to Kelly Malone, Canadian Press.
What do you have to say to your own former finance minister, Bill Morneau, who was and remains vocally opposed to the changes to the capital gains inclusion rate?
This budget is focused on fairness. Reality is, for far too many young people, for far too many millennial families or Gen Zers, the dream of home ownership is getting further and further away every year, no matter how hard they work, no matter the side hustles they pull together. Rent is taking up a huger and huger part of their monthly budget. And the idea of setting aside to be able to save up for a down payment or eventually being able to get a mortgage seems further and further out of reach. That's why with this budget, we're bringing back fairness in the system for young people. And we're doing it by asking people who are the absolute wealthiest in this country to contribute a little bit more. I understand for some people this may cost more if they sell a cottage or a secondary residence. But young people can't buy their primary residences yet.
Why is that, Trudeau?
And why are you making it everybody else's frickin' problem?
Well, I'll tell you why millennials and Gen Z can't buy their primary residence. Is because back in 2015, when Trudeau first took office, there were 35.7 million Canadians. Now, and this stat is as of June the 16th, 2023, there are 40 million Canadians, and that number is approaching 41 million. So that's what? Over 5 million new people in this country in the last 8 years.
Right. And we have built, on average, between 170 and 200,000 houses per year in that time.
So if we're taking in almost 1 million people every year, you know what, let's be generous and let's say 750,000 new Canadians every year. And we're only building 200,000 homes. We need an average of one home for every 2 new people that come into the country. We are not reaching that target anywhere near.
Yeah, we are building 30% of that per year. So just think about that.
So that's why there's no homes. And that's why the homes that we do have are insanely expensive.
So this is the thing that I think, is really, really causing such a stir across the country and across so many different industries when it comes to this budget is Trudeau is now putting the problem on all of them.
Well, their horrendous government policies are what got us into this mess. The fact that they were taking more people into the country than we could support with our social programs and our housing, and the fact that they weren't building enough housings to catch up.
Meanwhile, remember, part of this budget is regarding concert tickets. Part of this budget is regarding airline fees.
But aside from all that, Trudeau's saying, oh, we need people to pay their fair share. Canadians are paying more than our fair share. It's your horrendous government policies that got us into this mess. It's not because, quote unquote, rich people aren't paying enough. It's because you took over and screwed up this country.
That's why we're moving forward with initiatives that are focused on making the system work better for young people. Because the promise of this country has always been that every generation could succeed even better by building on the hard work of previous generations. But young people today don't have, no matter how hard they work, the same opportunities that their parents and their grandparents and previous generations could take for granted as just coming in this country. That's why we're doing something bold to change the math for young people. It means investing massively in new supply of housing, which, yes, building more affordable homes, building more affordable rental buildings, but also doing things like saying if a young person is spending $2,000 a month on rent, the fact that they pay it on time every month, that should count towards building a credit score so they can eventually go to the bank and say, look, I'm a reliable payer of my bills. You can give me a mortgage, and a better mortgage than you'd otherwise be able to give me. These are the kinds of things that changes the system. And I understand there are those who've been very, very successful off the way the system used to be, who don't want to see the system changed. But this is about intergenerational fairness. It's also about making sure our economy succeeds into the future. Young people right now make up the largest part of our workforce, and if they don't see paths to success, it's the entire economy that suffers. So we're going to stay focused on building a fair economy for every generation.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a clear path to Trudeau saying, if you're over the age of 25, I don't give a rat's ass about you.
I don't care how hard you've worked. I don't care how much you've had to sacrifice.
I don't care that you've been the ones that have actually been paying into the Canada Pension Plan this whole time. Don't care. I don't care that you're the ones that have actually built this country. I don't care that you're the ones that have invented everything that we're using now, that you've been practicing medicine for how many years, that you've been practicing veterinary, that you've been an innovator and opened a new business. I don't care about you, because I need my young people. I need my 18 to 25 demographic Canadian votes for the next election.
Well, and I need to keep telling them how unfair their life is. It's not their fault. It's not my fault either.
Right. So this is just something else, folks. Like, Trudeau is now in the process of literally pissing off the entire country.
The Canadian Medical Association says the proposed changes to the capital gains taxation will affect doctors' retirement savings, and in turn it could affect recruitment and retention of physicians. Are you willing to make changes or exceptions for doctors?
Someone making capital gains has to make more than $250,000 in capital gain profits to start to see the new changes of inclusion from 50% of capital gains to 2/3 of capital gains being included in their tax rates. We just don't think it's right that a student or an electrician or a teacher be paying taxes on 100% of their income, while others have the opportunities to use accountants and pay taxes on only 50% of that income. This is about fairness. This is about the fact that in order for people to succeed across this economy at all generations, we need young people to succeed. We need young people to be able to buy homes in the coming years. We need young people to be confident of the future that's going to have opportunities for them to build a family and build a future the way they want to. So yes, we are asking the most successful in this country to do a little bit more to make sure that everyone can see themselves in the success of this country. And that's something that it bewilders me a little bit that the Conservative Party is standing against.
So, in short, the answer is no. We're not going to consider the fact that we're screwing over our doctors. We're not going to consider the fact that we may lose a whole bunch of doctors that we desperately need. And $250,000 is a lot of money. Well, here's the thing, Trudeau.
It's not to a business. It's not to a corporation.
And it's not to a Canadian who is looking to retire, because the rule of thumb is that in order to actually be able to retire, you need $1 million.
You need to be a millionaire to retire in this country. And especially if you're a doctor, because you do not have the luxury of CPP.
Right. So they have nothing but what's in their corporation, because that's what you told them to do. So they did it. And now you're coming back and saying, yeah, well, that's all going to change.
But do you see how he is saying, well, we're asking those who are so well off to help spread the wealth to the other generations. So you've been working your entire life trying to build equity, build savings, build retirement funds.
Yeah, fair.
And that's why this is a marketing campaign, not a budget.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry, but when I was 25, I couldn't buy a house. And under the Conservatives, I was able to buy a house when I was 30. And I couldn't buy a house when I'm 30 now. But this is the thing, like this is what the Liberals do. They create the problem, and then they say, well, we're going to fix this problem, but all of you actually have to pay for it. So because these guys have been spending out of control since they were elected, now it's all of Canadians' problems.
Well, and the other thing these Liberals do is they create the problem, and then they point their finger and say, it's these guys' fault. You know, young people, it's the fault of these rich doctors that you can't afford a house. It's not our fault that we didn't build enough houses or that we opened up immigration and let too many people into the country. No, it's the doctor's fault for having too much money. It's the doctor's fault for having a small cottage in the Kawarthas. It's not our fault. So they're pitting us against each other again.
Well, this is how inept that Freeland and Trudeau are. I seriously think that they expected nobody to fact check them on their budget, because they came out and said, this is only going to affect the 0.134% of Canadians. But now he's openly saying, well, you know, if you have a cottage, you know, you should pay that. You know, it's only fair because, you know, young people don't even have a primary residence yet. So what? So what?
What if that's your retirement? We know family that their cottage is their retirement. And like, can we afford a cottage? No, but we don't go, oh, that's not fair.
Like, you want to talk about fair? How is this fair, Trudeau? How is it fair that you've been fiscally responsible, which you don't even know what that means, your entire life? You've made very good decisions with your money. You've not gone on vacations. You've not gone out for dinner. You've not spent things that are money on things that you don't need. You were able to actually buy an investment property, and you continue to make good decisions, and now you're in a position where you're going to be able to sell that and then relax and then actually enjoy your well-deserved retirement because you've worked your ass off your whole life. And now you're saying, no. Come on. You talking about fair. All because, well, this young person can't buy a house because my government screwed up the country.
And that's what it boils down to. And I know that many of you are older than us and you have children who maybe they're adults or maybe they're young adults. Impress this upon them. It's not unfair because other people have money, other people have properties, other people have wealth. It's unfair because of what the government did to this country.
And these people have it in their power to make it fair in their vote in the next election.
It was very clear over the weekend that they are not in favor of asking the wealthiest to pay a little bit more to create success for young people. I think that's wrong. Because the one thing that matters most to all Canadians, regardless of where you live in, regardless of what your background is, regardless of your approach or your abilities in life, people expect this country to be fair. And it's fair to ask those who've succeeded extraordinarily well to be there to make sure that a lot more people have the opportunity to succeed in the coming years through their hard work.
And that's
Whoa.
it right there. That's the communism bit. You know, Cypher and I are big fans of the phrase, don't pull the ladder up behind you. And what that means is when you are experiencing success, teach the people around you how to be successful as well.
Yeah, extend your hand and pull the next guy up.
But-
However, that doesn't mean that what you're expected to do is dismantle the floor that you're on in order to give that to everybody else. That's not what that means. That means succeed, follow ambition, go for your goals, then turn around and help others behind you reach theirs. Not this imposed wealth distribution bullshit, pardon my French, that these guys are just hell-bent on doing. This is how you destroy a country right here. And here's the thing. Canadians can take solace because Trudeau is getting the entire country angry at him right now. Businesses, entrepreneurs, doctors, professional organizations, startups, everybody is going to be very angry at him. All of the seniors that have these cottages that we're going to sell them for their nest egg, once they find out about this, they're going to be pissed at him too. All in the name of wealth redistribution.
Well, and it's because Trudeau and Freeland need to pay for these outrageous budgets that they've been pumping out since 2015.
And there's another $40 billion of printed money that they're borrowing again this year.
Right.
So, you have carbon tax, wealth redistribution, capital gains tax, wealth redistribution. This is what they're trying to do here. They're trying to finance their bad decisions by the good decisions from every other Canadian. Well, not going to happen. Because Fox and I were talking about this, and I think it's really time to do something. We've encouraged people to write their MPs before. This is different. So what we are doing is we are going to be writing every NDP member of Parliament, all 24 of them that are left, and we are going to be calling them out on the fact that this budget is terrible for Canada, that professional organizations are in open revolt against it, doctors are threatening to quit, seniors are going to lose much of their nest egg for their retirement fund, and that they need to vote against this or risk having no party at all after the next election. And we want the thousands of you that are watching this, this is the time. You've been waiting to hear, when can I make a difference? How can I make a difference? This is the time. We've put a link directly to the NDP party on the government website. All you have to do is click on each of their portraits, then click on contact to get their email address. Write an email to them. We are not going to tell you what to put in the subject line because they will identify it as a campaign and probably ignore it.
We want you to write these emails in your own words, or you can write letters. You can write paper letters to the House of Commons, to these MPs in the House of Commons, and you can send it without postage on the envelope. And we'd like to encourage you to send us a copy of your email, and we'll read a few of them on each of our Sunday live streams from now until the budget vote.
So if you're emailing the MPs, copy us. Copy Northern Perspective 00 @gmail.com.
And get all your friends and your coworkers and your family members to help too. Get them to write their own letters. I said it on our live stream on Sunday. Imagine that we bury the House of Commons in paper. These guys won't know what to do with so many letters.
The good news is we don't have to bury the entire House of Commons, everybody.
Just the NDP.
Just the NDP.